Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, my name is Demigod Shmurda here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another episode of Arrowverse Analysis. Now that we're a few episodes in, you guys may have noticed that I haven't been talking much about our title character himself, Oliver Queen. Arrow, not unlike the other Arrowverse series, is an ensemble cast show, so the series has to spend a lot of time giving every major character something to do. This can lead the writers to fall into the trap of making the title character a supporting character on their own show. Think The Flash during Season 7 and 8, or Black Lightning any season after Season 1. While Oliver gets the most screen time, there hasn't been a lot of work done on his character yet, where other characters have already made some strides in their development. Tommy's ready and willing to commit to not having one-night stands anymore. Thea's dialed her angst back slightly, as we've learned more of her reasonings for it, and even had some legitimately supportive moments. But Oliver's development has just kinda been left by the wayside. That all changed with these next two episodes, which put Oliver in the spotlight and finally flesh his character out more. These episodes show just how cold and calculating Oliver can be, but also show his thought process when it comes to his family and the people they may have hurt. Having someone that emotes as little as he does may make him seem bland at times, but behind that exterior is a man with a very interesting worldview. In Season 1, he views the list and the people on it as a cancer, but won't take care of ordinary crime because they're just symptoms of the greater disease. Oliver's aim is to cut off the head of the snake, but just how far is that goal going to take him? If this is your first episode and you're curious about how my rating system works, there's a detailed description down below, along with a link to all my other episodes of Overanalysis. But I encourage you to watch this one first. I'm sure you'll still enjoy it. I have a few things I want to mention before we get into the episode. First up, I was reviewing the footage for the last episode and found out that I somehow forgot to put the page from the list from episode 1 in to show you guys the comparison, so I'm gonna do that now. As you can see, Martin Summers' name replaces John DeLeon's name from the first episode. I assume to make it more obviously connected to the pilot episode, though we may never know the full reason. There's also these shots from Honor Thy Father, where you can clearly see Kelly Hu's stunt double in the shot. I'm not saying it's bad to have a stunt double, they're the trained professionals when it comes to doing the stunts and fights after all. I'm saying that you can clearly see her face in these specific shots, so maybe they should have shot these from a different angle. It's probably not something you'd notice on a casual viewing, though. The shots go by so fast you probably wouldn't notice. And finally, let's take a look at last week's poll. Looks like the clear winner from last week's poll was an innocent man, and that's because only one person voted on it. I think the reason for that is because many people may have dropped off after seeing my rating segment, so they didn't know I was including a poll. I'll be doing another one for this episode as well, and that poll will be linked down in the top line of the description of this video. With all that out of the way, let's return to the overanalysis. On November 7th, 2012, Arrow's 5th episode, Damaged, first aired and was directed by Michael Schultz, his first contribution to the series. With a mountain of evidence against him, Oliver must convince the SCPD that he's not the Hood. Meanwhile, Walter investigates the remains of the Queen's Gambit and discovers a disturbing revelation about Moira's involvement.
You could never really tell if the Playboy thing was all an act, but I guess after a while, it doesn't really matter.
That scene never happened. They had a kinda similar-ish one in An Innocent Man, but that is new footage that we have seen for the first time this episode. That's very interesting. That rabbit was edited on there kind of awkwardly.
Aim that tree.
What does that mean?
You will die badly. Get.
That's that to me says something that the plot says so.
They think I'm the vigilante, the man in the hood terrorizing the city's criminals. They also think they have me trapped, that I have no way out. they're only half right.
God, that's a great line! Dun, 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 dun. I didn't do it this episode early enough.
And as I said again, I ran into the stairwell once I heard the shooting. I saw a duffel that I thought maybe belonged to the shooter. I grabbed it, looked inside, and saw a hood.
And what, you took it home with you? Because we can't find it. And what about harassing Adam Hunt? That just happened to take place right across the street from your little home coming
And now
back.
they're talking about all of it.
No. When they pile up like that, it becomes evidence.
The important thing is not to say anything until your attorney gets here.
Fine. I want Laurel.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that'll really piss him off.
Oliver.
Walter, you say Lance has a vendetta?
Yes.
I think Laurel can get him off of it.
Where's your attorney, Mr. Queen?
I'm representing myself, Judge.
Well, on the subject of their wealth, I would point out that there is virtually no bail amount that could guarantee his presence at trial.
So then I guess it's a good thing that the people's case is so circumstantial. The defendant is willing to submit to home confinement and electronic monitoring.
No, he wouldn't.
Sold.
Your Honor,
$1 million.
This device has a direct line into the precinct. Stay on the property, you're golden. Any questions?
Yes, I'm having a sizable get-together here tomorrow evening, and there is a better than likely chance it spills into the outdoor pool.
Pool deck's fine. Step on the grass, they're sending a SWAT team to forcibly subdue you.
And this party is going to be themed. I'm thinking prison. Burning Man meets Shawshank Redemption. The invite says, come before Oliver Queen gets off. I want people to know that I'm not worried about any of this.
But Oliver isn't the reason why Sarah died. Or the reason Mom left.
I don't want to listen to
Ah,
this.
damn.
And by the way, you're not the only one who misses them.
Do I like Laurel? No. No, I can't. I can't! This performance, it's so over the top, but now that I'm 5 episodes in, I'm used to it a little bit more. So it's like I'm able to just take the words as they are, as opposed to the performance and the words. Damn!
I knew the security camera was there, just like I knew the police would review the footage and arrest me.
See, Oliver's not stupid. And I can't think of specific examples, but I know that the later seasons try to paint it as him being, incapable of working alone, and that's not the case. Because Oliver knows all of this kind of stuff, and he planned ahead for something exactly like this. So when later it's all of a sudden he needs to depend on the team, I guess it could be that he depends more and more on the team over time, but it's not like he's completely incapable of going it alone, you know?
Leo Mueller, German arms dealer, suspected in the theft of 100 M249 squad automatic weapons. Last night he arrived in Starling City to sell the guns. I want to know where the buy is happening.
And how am I supposed to track him?
Well, you know us billionaire vigilantes. We do love our toys.
And now he tells him about the Arrow Cave. I get that we find out in, season 2 that he has connections with Argus and Amanda Waller, but this show hasn't even introduced that as a concept yet, so where did Oliver even get this tech?
You're aware of the Queen's Gambit? Robert Queen's ill-fated yacht? I found it. I want you to transfer those remains to a secure location. Can I count on you?
What's going on, sir?
That's very much what I'm trying to determine.
we would support a plea of insanity, conditional on a period of indeterminate incarceration at a psychiatric facility.
No, thank you. I'm not crazy.
There's nothing you can say to me that I would believe.
I'll take a polygraph.
Polygraphs are inadmissible.
In front of a jury. I'll take a polygraph in front of him.
Dude, I love that Oliver and Lance are just having this dick measuring contest. It's so funny.
I'm gonna need a minute.
Dude, what is it? What happens to her lip? Right there. This is happening a lot sooner than I remember.
I'm Edward Fires, by the way. This gentleman. Do you know him?
No.
No.
Who's he?
You're a poor liar. Do you know what this island is named? We're on Lian Yu, Mandarin for purgatory. And I can make it feel like hell.
Ah, that's a great line.
He's yours now.
Guess who?
You're out all the time. You have those scars, and since you've been back, you've been acting really weird. And you gave me this. I mean, it's an arrowhead.
Yeah, I bought that in the gift shop of the Beijing airport. Now I'm sort of happy I didn't buy the shot glass with the panda on it, because then you'd be worried I was Panda Man.
You know, I knew you couldn't be this person. I can't lose you again.
Questions are to calibrate the polygraph. Is your name Oliver Queen?
Yes.
Were you born in Starling City, May 16th, 1985?
Yes.
Is your hair blue?
No.
Ever been to Iron Heights prison?
No.
Are you the man in this picture?
Where can I find the man in this picture?
No.
Were you marooned on an island called Lian for 5 years?
How is that even relevant?
I don't need to show relevance.
Now we get to see where he gets some of the scars.
The physician that examined you reported that 20% of your body is covered in scar tissue. Did that happen to you there?
Yes.
When you came back, you told everyone that you were alone on that island. Are you claiming that your scars were self-inflicted?
No. I wasn't alone. I didn't want to talk about what happened to me on the island.
Why not?
Because the people that were there tortured me.
Have you killed anyone?
Yes. When I asked your daughter Sarah to come on my father's yacht with me, I killed your daughter.
I'd have to study the data, but just eyeballing it, he's telling the truth.
I thought he couldn't step out onto the lawn.
I'm very touched that you came to celebrate with me before I am sent up the river. Closest neighbors are 6 miles away, so don't worry about the noise. Actually, on second thought, let's wake those losers up!
So you have 100 witnesses placing you here at the house while I'm supposed to be across town dressed as a vigilante?
I thought that it was going to be good enough just for you to be seen in the hood. I didn't count on Mueller showing up, and I didn't count on the possibility that the Glades could be flooded with machine guns. I promise. It was never my intention to put you in harm's way.
I believe it.
Oliver, I didn't think joining your crusade was ever going to be risk-free. I just don't like being played. Now, you might have gotten used to lying to everyone else in your life, but I'm the one guy you don't lie to.
And thus the trust stuff has started.
So am I going to jail?
No, man.
Dig's a good guy. In season 1.
Halloween 2005. We were getting ready for Tommy's party.
Ah. Yes, I wore those horrible fishnets.
Oh, that's a reference to her Black Canary costume! I never once caught that, dude. By the way, she never wears them in the show. In any of her costumes. And neither does Sarah. And neither does Dinah. Holy shit, they missed that element of the Black Canary suit completely.
I just wanted to come by and apologize for my father's behavior today.
He has a right to feel any way that he wants.
After Sarah died, my father threw himself into his work, but my mother couldn't.
Why don't you hate me?
I did. But after today, I realized that I was so focused on what happened to my family that I didn't even stop and wonder what could have happened to you.
Yes! Oh my god, is that Laurel showing empathy? What episode am I watching? And these two still have no chemistry, so this is supposed to be like a tender moment between them, and I just don't give a shit.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now. This is cancer.
Oh, damn! This is the best fight in the show yet.
Gas-powered, air-cooled, fires up to 800 rounds per minute.
I know you secretly had the boat salvaged. I wanted to move it to a more secure location before confronting you about it. In fact, I sent Josiah Hudson to the warehouse for precisely that purpose. But he died, mysteriously in a car accident.
You've got to stop looking into this. It's not safe. You'll be upsetting people with influence.
Damn!
How did you know I was in trouble? Because when the guy was fighting you, he broke the ankle monitor.
Are you all right?
What are you doing? Just got a call from my lieutenant. An arms dealer was attacked across town tonight by the vigilante. Multiple witnesses put him there. In light of that, all charges against your son are being dropped.
But I decided to screw propriety after you tried to have my son killed.
I offer my sincerest apologies.
I know you found out I had the yacht salvaged, just as I know you had Josiah Hudson killed.
Well, accidents tend to befall people who are too curious.
Take it. I lead them off. You stay. Remember, everything breathe. You breathe. You survive here longer.
I'm coming with you.
I forgot what was in the... That's a very conveniently timed cave-in. I forgot what was in the bag.
These are your polygraph results. My father asked you if you'd ever been to Iron Heights. It's the prison where the vigilante saved me last week. It's also where you and I went on our 8th grade field trip. And there is a slight flutter in your answer to that question. And if you lied on one, you could have lied on others.
So I'm confused. Is Leo Mueller on the list? Because the entire next episode is all about Oliver finally branching out and taking down someone that's not on the list explicitly. Like, I know that I said that they did that with Deadshot, but Deadshot was connected to someone else who was on the list. So, the question is Mueller on the list or not? Because that messes up next episode, and I really like next episode. That was cool. I think that was cool.
Leo Mueller, you have failed this city.
Is he dead? Do I have to check the Arrow Wiki to see if he's dead? This was another episode I really liked during my first viewing that I'm kinda mixed on now that I'm doing this series. I'm gonna start by giving the plot a 3. The basic plot for the episode is pretty standard, but that doesn't mean it's not effective. Oliver throws people off his scent by purposely getting arrested. This way, there's dozens of witnesses seeing him at home under house arrest while Diggle suits up and makes an appearance as the Hood to get the charges dropped. Not exactly original, but it is used effectively here. And the island plot is progressing along faster than I remember, which is good. However, the episode isn't without its flaws. For one, I still don't know why Moira had the Queen's Gambit salvaged. This still just reeks of something that only happens to get Walter to look into her and kick off the plot with Malcolm. It's also pretty convenient that Yao Fei isn't around when Oliver gets kidnapped at the top of the episode. And I also don't understand how Oliver got those tracking devices. The show hasn't introduced Argus yet, and I don't believe they do until season 2. Even then, though, do you think Oliver would have carried those things on him after Hong Kong, going back to Lianyu, and going to Russia? Or did he just order some from Amanda Waller before Leo Mueller got into town? Or did he buy them when he built the Arrow Cave? Does Moira know he bought them if that's the case? Wouldn't she or Walter be keeping tabs on Oliver's purchase history? I get that it comes with the territory of this kind of show, but it could be easily explained by having Oliver say that Moira doesn't pay attention to his purchase history offhandedly in the middle of a conversation or something like that. The only reason this doesn't bring the episode down to a 2 is because, again, it comes with the territory of this kind of show, and it doesn't play a super critical role in the episode, unlike all the conveniences surrounding Deadshot during episode 3. I'll give characterization a solid 4, though. I actually really like that everyone is asking questions about Oliver now. The questions they probably should have been asking when he first showed back up. Outside of that, though, this was a great episode for both Thea and Laurel. Thea only gets one big scene this week, but it's a good one. I'm glad to see that she's gotten over herself a little bit. And Laurel is treated really well with this episode as well. Getting to hone in on the situation surrounding both the Queen and Lance families works well here, and Laurel and Oliver being at the center of that means Laurel gets to have some legitimately good writing. Plus, Oliver is treated to be really smart, calculating, and shows he's capable of predicting the logical course of events and planning for when they happen. And when Oliver and Diggle have that "you lied to me" disagreement in the episode, Diggle still does what Oliver asks him to do because he's still part of Oliver's team. He doesn't act like a little bitch about Oliver not telling him the plan, and as an avid hater of this trope, you have no idea how refreshing this is. Visuals are gonna get a 3. We get the show's first legitimately good fight in Yao Fei versus Billy Wintergreen in this episode, but there's nothing outside of that that's super outstanding. However, the scene at the top of the episode had some pretty obvious elements added on. Like, seriously, that rabbit looked very out of place in that shot, as did both Oliver and Yao Fei's arrows. Importance will go up to a 5. This is what a lot of smaller elements in the show have been building up to, with Oliver getting arrested and Laurel and Quentin having to learn the Queen family's secrets. Plus, we see Malcolm finally starting to get involved, and this is the beginning of the end for Moira and Walter's marriage. It shows Oliver and Laurel still have feelings for each other, and we also get to meet Fires and Wintergreen, who are the main antagonists for the Season 1 flashbacks. This isn't an episode you can skip. And I'll give entertainment a 3. I think the episode has a strong beginning and ending, and while the middle had strong elements, the section itself is a little shaky. That gives Damage a score of 18 out of 25. Now let's get into the next episode. Arrow's 6th episode, Legacies, first aired on November 14th, 2012, and was directed by John Baring, his first contribution to the series. When an off-duty cop is shot during a bank heist, Diggle tries to convince Oliver to take his focus off the list. Meanwhile, Tommy throws a fundraiser to prove to Laurel that he's not as shallow as he seems. So here we get the Royal Flush Gang.
Don't worry. I'm a cop.
Lay down your weapons and come out with your hands up.
Oh, dang. We didn't see them come in with any equipment to go down, though. Actually, dumbass episode, Demigod. That is a jackhammer. And they did carry it in with them. Oh, I love this!
Where'd you learn that?
His name is Yao Fei.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's only Oliver and Slade that are shown doing the stick fighting, but I could be wrong about that. Oh no, he does have Shadow's tattoo in this shot. It's just very faint. Wow, I like the attention to detail. Oh no, that's very distinctly 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's the Constantine tattoo.
These guys started in Keystone 3 years ago, then began moving west, hitting banks along the way. This morning, they hit Starling City Trust, shot an off-duty cop.
I don't fight street crime. That's a symptom of what's wrong with this city. I'm trying to cure the disease.
And here you see, to keep the fire alive, he has to burn pages of the list. Really makes you wonder what's on the pages that he burned. Dun 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 dun.
Guess who I just hung up with? Janice Bowen.
I'm gonna assume that's nothing, but I am going to look it up. Okay, nope, that's an actual character. I thought maybe it was a Fiddler reference.
Carter Bowen just won the National Chess Championship. Carter Bowen is anchoring the debate team.
Oliver Carter just got accepted into Harvard and Princeton.
I love that they're both taking her on.
Well, they're coming for brunch, and I expect you to be there.
I have plans.
That's fine. Brunch is tomorrow.
Damn, she got him.
You know your friend Scott Morgan from your father's list? He tried to kill himself. Maybe he was afraid of getting a visit from you. How fast can you make it to Starling General?
On my way.
There's this girl that I'm interested in, and I am really not sure how to pursue it.
Maybe you just have to figure out what's a big deal to her and make it a big deal to you.
Thea, you are amazing.
He's your brother.
Scott Morgan doesn't seem like the type to try to kill himself.
True, but it's the best lie I could come up with on short notice.
Mr. Diggle, I can't thank you enough for arranging to move my husband from County Ward to Sterling General.
You really should be thanking this man, Oliver Queen. He's paying the bill. Jana's husband, Stan, is a police officer. He happened to have been making a deposit at Starling Trust Bank.
The bank that was robbed. I was so sorry to hear about your husband. Is he gonna be okay?
The doctors say the next 24 hours are crucial.
Where you going?
Go make a difference. Let's catch some bank robbers.
And just like that, Oliver's on board. Also, my phone just went off. I forgot to put it in Do Not Disturb before I started recording. So I now need to check what this is.
College ring.
Well, high school, more likely.
That ring will get us an ID.
Yeah, but even with photo enhancement, you're gonna have a problem getting a clear shot of that ring.
No, but it left an impression the police will have photographed. It'll be an evidence lockup.
One of our own's been shot. Tell them to find themselves a pair of scissors.
Oh, whatever. I see stuff like that, and I'm just whatever every single time, dude.
You were gonna go over there and say, thank you, Tommy. We'd be honored for you to throw us a fundraiser.
Thank you, Tommy. We would be honored for you to throw us.
Larchmont High. High school. I dug a little deeper and found Kyle Reston. Right before Kyle's senior year, not only did he drop out, he dropped off the grid. Along with his family. Father, mother, younger brother.
There are 2 other guys involved in this robbery.
And a woman. Aside from Stan Washington, there were 22 customers and employees that came out of the bank. 9 men, 13 women. Inside the bank, 9 men, 14 women.
Put a ringer in.
The mom.
I really like that idea that they put someone else in there as, like, a sleeper agent. Kind of to, like, give them information on what's going on. That's really clever. I will admit, though, it is kind of stupid that Reston has got his high school ring on. That's, like... That's another one of those baby plot holes I was talking about in the Deadshot episode. That's just a random thing, like, especially because he dropped out of high school. We just heard Oliver say that, so it's like... Yeah, like I said, it's not a full plot hole, but it's like one of those baby plot holes, just to, you know, get the plot from point A to point B. It's not something I'm gonna dock points over, but if there's enough of them, and that one plot hole gets wide enough, then I'm gonna start docking points for it. Carter Bowen here is played by Warren Christie. He later goes on to play, or at least face, Arrowverse Bruce Wayne, though the only character on Batwoman he ever plays is Tommy Elliott wearing Bruce Wayne's face. I find it very funny that this guy plays Bruce Wayne, dude. Yep, if you look right here, you can see the ring, though it's not exactly in an L shape, but it is on his hand, so I do appreciate the attention to detail.
First bank of Sterling was hit 2 minutes ago.
Sorry. Business.
Where are you going?
Something's come up. I'm really sorry.
How convenient, there's this large open tunnel. And now we start to get more of Oliver's trick arrows as well. Like, for example, this one. And I don't even know what the fuck this is supposed to be. No smoke bomb arrow, though. Oliver never uses a smoke bomb arrow. Missed opportunity. I never actually thought about it for just like a second. How did the mom even get in to the bank?
Aside from Stan Washington, there were 22 customers and employees that came out of the bank. 9 men, 13 women. Inside the bank, 9 men, 14 women.
Oh, so I just checked. The mom doesn't go in. The mom is already in. She doesn't come out. when everyone else is escaping, she doubles back. But how does that not get caught on any security cameras or anything like that? Banks are lined with security cameras, dude. Like I said, it's these little baby plot holes that, like, just don't entirely fit and don't entirely make sense and just happen to get the characters from point A to point B. And I get it, no plot is going to be perfect, but, like, it's little baby plot holes, you know?
His name is Derek Reston. We were close before I went away, and I want to get back in touch.
I guess you guys must have met at the factory.
Wait, what factory?
The Queen Steel Factory. Derek Reston worked there for 15 years until it shut down in '07.
Derek Reston worked for my father?
You weren't really close friends, huh? Derek was the factory foreman until your dad outsourced production to China. About 1,500 employees got laid off.
Those factory guys hung out at a bar after work. Going down there, hopefully Derek Reston wants to take a stroll down memory lane. My family stole from this city. They hurt the people in it, and I am hell-bent on making that right. For Derek Reston, that means giving him the chance to make it right.
I know it's a little bit late, but it's just processing in my head now. Again, hoping that Reston is at the bar to try to get him to give up the whole thing. He does want to give up the whole thing, but it's like, it's another, now we're starting to get to the, like, not baby plot holes, but, like, you know.
Mind if I sit in?
Oliver Queen. The last time I saw your dad, he was making a speech, telling my crew not to believe all the gossip. That there was no way Queen Consolidated was moving production to China. A week later, they closed the doors.
No, all I can offer you is an apology and a job. Queen Consolidated has subsidiaries all over the country. I make one phone call, you start next week.
I don't need charity from the son of the man who screwed me over.
Change your mind? You and I have one thing in common. We're both dealing with the consequences of my father's actions. What he did then, that's on him. What we do now, that's on us.
I also like that they're trying to relate Oliver to the dad as opposed to one of the kids, especially the kid that punched the guy and shot the cop. I like that they're trying to relate him to the dad because they could so easily treat Oliver like he's the kid and have him relate to one of the kids, or have him, not relate to, that's the wrong word, have him paired up against one of the kids. But I like this a lot more because what they're doing is they're treating Oliver like an adult. And I really like that because, again, it's so easy to treat him like he's a child because the parents in the show are still alive. No, the parents are, or at least the mom is. The mom is still alive, and the show has a lot to do with Oliver's dad and his sacrifice, his death, everything like that. But they're still treating Oliver like an adult. They're not treating him like he's the next generation. They're treating him like he's both the next generation and the past generation by just treating him, even though he is the son, like he's an adult. And I really like that. That's an element that, like, it's actually really rare that shows do that, believe it or not.
But Kyle said we do one more or he'll go out on his own.
Well, if that's what he wants to do, that's his right, but you and me and Teddy, we're out.
I want to quit too, but I am not leaving without Kyle.
What's this?
I dropped a bug in Derek Reston's jacket.
Where did Oliver get the bug, you ask? I don't know. Doesn't his mom keep tabs on his spending? I don't know. And again, the show hasn't made the decision to associate Oliver with Amanda Waller yet, so you can't even make that excuse. So it's like the Bratva thing. This is a baby plot hole from last episode that now we have like as a recurring thing. Where did Oliver even get all this tech for the arrow cave, dude? He didn't carry all of this back from the island. Maybe I should just let it be and not be too up in arms about it, because it's just something, you know, you kind of have to take it with the territory of these shows. But it's just like, you know, it's one of those things that you like. The more that it happens, the more that it's like, you know, if you don't, this is one of the things I wish they would address To just, it would be so easy to do it too. Just be like, Diggle, I'm rich, and my mom doesn't keep track of what I'm spending my money on. Simple. One-line explanation, done, and we never have to talk about it again. But they don't even do, you know, a little thing like that. So it's like, you know. It comes with the territory, so you gotta get over it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you wish that there was like one line. If it takes one line to explain away, why don't they?
I thought you were going to give the man a second chance.
That's what I believe in. I also believe in covering all my bases.
Derek, we can't abandon our son. After all this time, he wants to end up a winner. Set for life. Otherwise, what was the point?
All right. One more. I thought about what the girl was interested in,
And you did this for Laurel.
I know you don't know, but he's your brother.
You know, I've actually been thinking about starting a free clinic down here in the Glades.
Really?
Maybe grab a couple drinks and tell you what I'm thinking.
That sounds great.
Mom, I messed up with the Bowens yesterday. I made you a promise. I couldn't keep it.
What's nothing new for you, Oliver? Just imagine, after being granted the miracle of having my child returned to me, that you seem to have little or no interest in being with me or telling me the truth.
They're going to try nighttime here.
I have to go.
Honestly, Oliver, there are times when I wonder why you bother coming home at all.
Yeah, that's a bit of a low blow, but she's upset. I get it.
Kyle Reston.
I came prepared.
With a riot shield? Okay. I mean, hang on, was he carrying that before?
Reston.
Oh yeah, he's holding it. Ow. Damn. Oh, nice attention to detail. The arrow still on the floor.
Hey! Drop your weapons! Now!
Ooh.
Call an ambulance. Now!
It wasn't his fault. I turned my son into this. I told you. I begged you. Right my wrongs.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you the truth about me. But I hope that you know that I love you.
It's kind of scenes like those where you really start to think that's where the element of, like, Oliver being part of the next generation comes from. Because on the island, he very much is treated like, kind of like he's a kid. He doesn't really get treated like he's a man until the Odyssey, when he finally, you know, gets to put somebody on the ground and gets to, you know, spar with Slade and stuff like that. But then you see him in the present day, and very much he has matured. He's a very much different person. But then, again, the scenes on the island are supposed to show how he got to that point. So it's scenes like that, again, that, like, make it seem like he could easily, on a much, I won't say worse written, but differently written show, Oliver could just be this, like, symbol for the, like, our parents are our parents, the next generation, we get to decide what kind of stuff we want to do. And Oliver doesn't really have any relationship with the son, which, again, I actually really like that the show goes for a different approach than that. At least in this episode. I'm also going to make an identity reveal counter, and I'm going to count that as 1. So that's 1 for the identity reveal counter. And that's going to go for all characters on all shows that I cover. Anytime that a character reveals their identity to someone that doesn't know it, or has their identity revealed, or, like, takes their mask off, I'm going to count it. And you could say, like, oh, there was light obscuring his face and the paint obscuring his face. Okay. It wouldn't have really made a difference because he just saw Oliver earlier that day. He knows what his hair and his general face shape looks like. I mean, it's hard to forget the Stephen ML jawline. Come on. If it was the mask, and if it wasn't the green face paint and it was the mask, I would give it to you. But no, that's an identity reveal. Ah, shit, that means I also have to count Diggle. Alright, make that 2 on the identity reveal counter.
I'm gonna show you how to have some fun.
Whoa, what are you doing?
You said I was amazing.
You're also like my sister, my baby.
Or, like, actually,
Well, I'm not
your
your baby.
sister.
Laurel doesn't even like you.
It was a mistake to talk to you about girls and stuff. It was inappropriate, and I think it may have confused you.
Now, the rejection is pretty clear.
Tommy, I'm gonna let you in on a little-known secret about Dr. Carter Bowen. The man is a gigantic ass.
I guess when it comes to you, I tend not to think straight.
Can you call me a cab?
Absolutely not. I am taking you home. Get in.
I apologize for making such a scene. Just feel better, okay?
Maybe it's just the pilot, dude. Maybe it's just the pilot that was shot with Katie Cassidy giving a not-so-great performance.
Please don't hate me.
Never.
You gave Reston a chance. That was more than he deserved. You say going after the guys on that list is the way you honored your dad? Well, if your dad could have seen you this week, the way you cared about the people he had hurt, I say he'd be pretty damn honored. So maybe there is more than one way to save this city.
And again, I actually really like this as well, because this is kind of like the idea. There's this, like, unspoken idea through the show that even though Robert Queen's name isn't on the list, it's implicitly on the list. So Oliver has to eventually cross Robert Queen's name off the list as well, because Oliver has to, like, the whole thing of it is kind of atoning for his family's sins alongside saving his city. So I really like the idea that that this was kind of like, this was like the Peter Declan thing where Oliver lifted somebody else up, and that's what got Jason Brodeur knocked down and crossed him off the list. So that's so it was another attempt of that, only this time it wasn't an entire success. And so Robert Queen, his name is still on the list, even though, you know, his name was never written in the list pages. I'm looking for Easter eggs. And again, the whole thing of the heat being what reveals the names on the list. Holy shit! Behind Oliver's finger there, that says, that's a C-L-A and then an E at the end. That says Justin Claiborne. I thought that was a name that the Season 5 writers pulled out of their ass. No, it is literally right there.
The truth is, with Walter being gone, I'm lonely. I guess I just miss my son.
No.
Are you hungry? Thank you. Mom. It's okay to get your hands dirty every once in a while. Please.
Hell yeah.
That is a great burger. You know, I'll bet Carter Bowen doesn't know where to find the best burger joint in Starling City.
So I have one thing on him.
No. You have everything on, Oliver.
Ah, that's sweet. They're getting me in the feels. They know where to hit me. I'm gonna give the plot a 4. Though there are a fair amount of baby plot holes in the midsection, at least this episode has a functioning skeletal structure that doesn't rely on something that destroys the show's entire premise. And yes, I am talking about the Bratva. Though, again, it is a bit weird that the son is wearing his high school ring. That seems to be something that just has to happen because the plot says so. And also, the mom would have been seen escaping through the security cameras. However, I do like a lot of the ideas that the episode introduces, including the concept of Robert Queen's name being on the list, and Oliver finally branching out and taking down criminals that aren't related to the list. And on top of that second thing, the writers could have easily made it that Oliver was stopping a bunch of faceless goons, but they went the extra mile to make it a family, and I appreciate the attempt. One of my favorite things is how the episode compares Robert Queen to Reston and Reston to Oliver, and implies how Oliver's promise to his dad mirrors Reston and his son's relationship. they really say it without saying it, which is really cool. In fact, there's actually a lot of that in this episode. However, the Laurel, Tommy, Thea storyline is completely disconnected from the main plot, so you almost feel a bit of jet lag when switching between the two. And the stuff with Carter Bowen isn't necessarily unimportant, but I'm sure nobody would mind if it was cut from the episode. There's enough going on this episode as is, with the Tommy Laurel stuff, the bank robber plotline, Oliver trying to get through to Reston, and the scenes with Oliver hallucinating on the island. Characterization will get a 4. Thea's a mixed bag this episode, but Tommy, Laurel, Diggle, Moira, and Oliver are all very strong. In fact, I'd argue this is Oliver's best episode so far. We get to see a ton of layers to him here and how he treats certain situations. I really like how he sees regular crime as symptoms of a bigger disease, and of course that disease is people on the list. And how Oliver did genuinely give Reston a chance to change, but he still dropped a bug on him because he believes in covering his bases. Stuff like this makes Oliver come off like a hard ass, but also makes him a very interesting character. And his scenes on the island also flesh him out pretty nicely this week. I also like that the writers attempted to make the Reston family actual characters in the story, but none of them really make enough of an impression to get the audience to really care about them. I even got confused about the names of the dad and the son at one point. It was a good idea, but wasn't something the writers went all in on, so it feels kinda half-baked, so that's why I can't give it a 5. I'll give the visuals a 3. Again, there wasn't necessarily anything bad, but there's this shootout in the tunnels that you'd think should be intense that just has absolutely no energy to it, which is very unfortunate. The heist at the top of the episode is pretty great, but the episode never really does anything to top that action-wise. The stuff on the island is pretty standard hallucinating a dead family member imagery, but they use it pretty smartly during the episode to really enforce how Oliver's promise to right his father's wrongs mirrors the relationship between Reston and his son. This is a prime example of how you show, don't tell. Importance will get a 5. This is the first time Oliver is committing to not only crossing people off the list, so you'd be lost on why the formula shifted to include low-level crime if you didn't understand what led Oliver to make that choice. And entertainment will get a 3. I like some of the ideas presented, but this is a very packed episode, and it might feel a little discombobulating if you're looking for something more tightly paced. However, if you're looking to analyze the episode like I am, there's a lot of deeper meanings with the Reston family plot, which you'll have fun with. I'm also a pretty big fan of more subtle humor, which is the type of humor the show has gone for so far. So, little lines like in episode 2, Emily Nocenti says, "It was nice to meet you," or Oliver's snide comments to his replacement bodyguard like, "You gotta keep up." That's the kind of humor that really gets me going. This episode's got plenty of those little lines like that, with stuff like Oliver and Diggle arguing whether the son was wearing a high school or college ring during the robbery, or Laurel's absolutely dry, sarcastic thank you to Tommy. And I personally find that stuff hilarious. I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the show gets points for it from me. That gives Legacies a score of 19 out of 25. Now let's get into the wrap-up. Before we end off this episode, I wanted to mention that during the scene where Oliver and Diggle first talk about Leo Mueller, we do see Oliver looking through the list before Diggle walks in, implying that Mueller is on the list. In terms of the shot at the end of Damaged, though, despite this death technically happening off-screen, it's very implicit Oliver goes for the kill shot here. I was originally not going to count this death, citing the shot only happening after the screen cuts to black, and the fact that this would have been the first person on the list that Oliver himself kills. But that shot at the end is just a little too implicit, and I never felt right not counting it on Oliver's counter, so I will be rectifying that error. That's really all I have of note, so for this week's poll, I'd like to know which of these episodes you guys preferred. Try to keep my ratings out of it and base it only on your own judgment. Once again, the link to that poll is in the top line of the description. But anyway, that is it for this episode, guys. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you can join us as soon as freaking possible. And while I'm playing everything else, be sure to click the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload one of these crappy videos. But apart from that, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. This is Demigod Shmurda.